No, that's not even like a fragment of the cool ideas that I have for this game. So that makes me very confident that like if people are loving it how it is now, when I start dropping like the cool stuff, like the actual cool stuff, then yeah, people are gonna love it. Yeah, my name is Stephen Ddungu. I'm just a recent university grad that basically just took up on myself to just kind of have like put the ideas that I had in my head to reality, and started on this path, and I've not stopped ever since, and that's got where I am, like where I am today. And yeah, pretty much I'm currently working on a game called Sort of Symphony, which is a music action RPG the where you basically fight with the power of music. It's quite a novel idea. I don't see like many others do. So I thought it'd be kind of cool if I did it.
22, self-taught. What inspired you to start game developing in the first place? Like, that's really cool.
Yeah, so I was working on a title before Sword of Symphony called Purpose, and that was split into two separate kind of titles because as I was writing the first one, the story was a little bit large and kind of convoluted, and there was like two separate fates that I wanted the main character to have. So I just decided to make another protagonist and have him have the other fate, and kind of have the two kind of parallel but kind of with divergent fates, and have the one that I was working on initially, kind of that's now called Purpose Versa, and then the other title was called Purpose Versus. So then as I was developing that, I was also kind of dabbling in game development, but on a noob level. And then I just kind of decided it would be kind of cool if like one continued to be an animated series, and the other one was a video game, and just to kind of like solidify that kind of kind of separate perspective, kind of separate title kind of thing. And also I just thought it would kind of look cool as a video game as well, because I was dabbling in it, and I was like, yeah, the game mechanics could be pretty cool around that. So that's when I started teaching myself game development. And then that continued on around about this time. I was second year university, and when third year university came, we had to figure out something to do for our final year university project. And I was doing a music technology course, and I've already been a musician since like ages and ages ago. So I just decided I could have my music knowledge that I've had since forever, and my game development skills that I've like rigorously taught myself throughout that year, like those 2 years, and then just kind of mesh everything together for my project. And then that became the inception of Sword of Symphony. And yeah, so in terms of game development, that's pretty much how I got into it.
Did you draw any type of inspirations when you were developing Purpose and Sword of Symphony?
So Purpose, when it started, because how it started is very different from how it looks now. But I was actually inspired by the anime Psycho Pass, and
Nice.
but not just like from like its style, but just how it was able to convey its philosophical message through the characters, and particularly the villain. Actually, that's what I was inspired by. That made me want to do something like it in like an animated form, because I also have my kind of philosophical views and that sort of stuff, and kind of like ideas that I kind of would like to have people think about sort of stuff, like kind of like food for thought kind of stuff that I wanted to put out there. Yeah, as time went on, I was more inspired by Final Fantasy, because I was really inspired by like the soundtrack musically, and I looked more into it, and I was just in love with the visuals and that sort of stuff. So that kind of transforms the kind of the look of my project, since when you're really passionate about something, like everything that you do kind of looks like that in a sense. So over time, the original kind of art style of Purpose transitioned to look a little bit more like that, since I was using that, and also I was also learning animation as well. So the more I was inspired by that, the more I was using that kind of as a reference for my improvement and sort of stuff. So that was for Purpose. And then for Sword of Symphony, it was just kind of what I already had, but I wanted to make it look more stylized. So I guess you could say Kingdom Hearts in a way, since I was also very inspired by Kingdom Hearts. But like the visual aesthetic, when I was doing the initial sketches for Sword of Symphony, I wanted to have like a certain kind of like look to the characters, so it's not just like just like a samey kind of like character design. I wanted to have like a kind of like you look at it and you'll be like, yeah, that's definitely a sort of Symphony character. So I started like looking at different kinds of fashion and kind of niche fashion, and see if I can like have that kind of be like kind of the identity of like the look of like the characters for Sword of Symphony. And I ran into this kind of fashion called Urija. I'm probably like butchering the name. It's a Uja or like Lolita fashion, and then that was when I saw that I was like, yeah, because I was sketching the main character Stefan, and when I saw photos of that, I was like, yeah, that's just Sword of Symphony all over, like kind of like Square Enix visuals.
I can see the RPG inspirations behind different characters. So what is your favorite Final Fantasy game?
Yeah, I think Final Fantasy 13, to be honest, like my favorite. But like it's like a second would be like a very close would be like either Final Fantasy 7 or Final Fantasy 15. Although I'll say Final Fantasy 15 is third, because I look at it and then I think of what Versus 13 could have been, and then it would be like, yeah, nah, I don't like 15 because it could have been Versus 13. So that'll be third, and then the rest I'm not too familiar on. So they're like in like kind of modeled after third.
I love 13, might I add. Not just the story and the character styles, but also the music too, because I love the music. Because the music is phenomenal. I find myself, even when I'm just in the car, I will play the battle music to hype me up for something. But just hearing you say like different RPGs that pretty much inspired different types of games, like Sword of Symphony and Purpose. Where do you see these projects going from here? Because you gained a lot of traction off of TikTok and just the internet in general, where people are really interested in knowing like what's next, what's the next game you're going to make. But I know right now you're focused on one project, so where do we go from here? I guess that's the best question to ask with Sword of Symphony and Purpose.
Well, actually, Sword of Symphony and Purpose are just two pieces of like a really grand puzzle that I'm building. I so far have 6 titles planned, and Sword of Symphony, the sequel for it, Purpose Versa, Purpose Versus, and then there's another Purpose title that I'm keeping very, very much under wraps because that is endgame content, but I've pretty much planned the entire thing. And then there is a link between Sword of Symphony and Purpose that I'm keeping very much a secret, but that will all come to light in the title converging with that. And then there's a title of the aftermath of that convergence, and and then like that leaves room for like much more stuff. So the ending of that is very open in terms of like where it could go, and there is people are going to be quite shocked. First of all, people are going to be quite shocked with how I've linked Sword of Symphony and Purpose, because as you can see, like Purpose is very if you've seen Purpose, it's very realistic and it's very serious, and then Sword of Symphony is very like fantastical, and you fight with the power of music. You will never see that in like Purpose, but there is a solid link that's like crazy, the most craziest idea that I've like ever come up with, probably crazier than like you've ever seen, but it works. And then the converging titles, and then like after that, that's like, yeah, you'll see what I'm up to. But as of now, you probably would have no clue, and yeah, I intend to keep everyone that way.
My other question I have for you is for Square Enix. Not sure if they even seen it, but if they were to see your game, like okay, so for example, if there was a Square Enix person that came to you today, it was like, hey, we love your game, how can we help? What do you like? What comes to mind? What do you think?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because me and my agent are actually doing a pitch tour with like different companies that have reached out to me and him as well that want to fund Sword of Symphony, and they may or may not be on the list. So it'll be cool to hear what they have to say, or they have to offer, and that sort of stuff. And but in terms of like if a big company came to me, like how would I react? I mean, it's like what I'm looking for, because I'd want the like a funding from a big company would accelerate the project a lot,
right?
And I still, intend to like develop the game, like sort of develop the game, but at least I have like, access to like the resources and that sort of stuff that they're able to like increase the end revenue of the game, and also the possibilities where it could go like in the future, the kind of like quality like it could be if it was done under or done in partnership with a company like that. That's something definitely that I've been considering, hence why me and my Asian are doing this pitch tour. But yeah, like that would be cool. That'll definitely be sick.
That would be so dope. I honestly look forward to anything that you have going for yourself, just with the projects and you as a solo Black developer in general. That's really dope. Like, I'm super excited for you. What keeps you motivated to keep going as a person and as a game developer?
Me as a person, to kind of show people, especially people who look like me, that you can do it in a sense. Like, because I know a lot of people who are like me that think that they can't have the same ideas as me in a sense, or may have been in the same situation as me, like 4 years ago. I'm just in my room sketching ideas and then also stuff, but think that the task ahead is too much for them. It's too grand. Like we kind of live in like a world where people kind of put themselves in their own kind of mental prisons in a sense, and like that limits them from really going out there and being great. Like, and I know it comes from a place of like people wanting to be modest, but then it's like people kind of overdo it in a sense that it's self-deprivation in a sense, or self-depreciation, not deprivation. And it's also deprivation as well. There are ways to outsmart that system to kind of get you where you are, and you kind of have to think more outside the box and creatively. So like me, like a singular Black person who decided to put music and like gameplay and mesh it together is kind of like my way of doing that. And as a result, like some of the top best game companies of the entire of the world in a sense have like reached out to me, the same kind of companies that people like us will like kind of point a finger to and be like, oh no, you're not doing enough representation. But the thing is, like, I'm not being rewarded because I'm Black or because I'm even white. I'm being rewarded because I've made something actually good that not a lot of others have made, and it's on like high demand. And that's what's gonna get you far in life. Like, not because of privilege, because I really do believe that, like, even though we start off with different privileges, you create your own privilege by your merits in life, basically. And those are things that like are totally in your control. So yeah, in a sense, that's pretty much what I want to like and like me specifically, like my message and why I'm doing this and why I want to show people that I'm doing this. Because you can, no matter what you look like, no matter where you came from, no matter how much money you started off with. Like when me and my mum moved in here, like we had nothing but like lilas that I had to pay for, actually, because we came from like really humble beginnings, and I'm where I am now because I didn't wait for a hand down from like anyone else. I just literally created my own privilege in a sense. It is something that you can do, and it's something that you should stop looking at it from like a point of we can't do it because of this, and look at it in a way as like I can get there myself without having to look at that and be like, oh, that's putting me down. You can just like go past it in a sense. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm trying to do. Okay. But I'm glad that a lot of people are behind it already. people are gonna love it.
Oh, definitely. I'm hyped. I'm so hyped. Yeah. I'm so hyped. If there's anything that we can do, feel free to let us know. I'm pretty sure Jay will be super duper excited to help wherever she can to get the ball rolling. So that's it for me.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that wholeheartedly. When I saw you guys share it, I was like, oh, thank you guys.
Of course.